The San Francisco 49ers fall to the Jacksonville Jaguars 26-21. We're here to break it all down for you. There's coaches fighting on the field after the game and what to make of Brock Purdy's return and a whole lot more on today's Locked On 49ers.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker at BD Peacock at Coach Crocky. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us and jumping in here, and love to see the everydayers a little bit later than normal. The not so rapid react episode here. It took us 4 hours after the 49ers game just to try to figure out who earned a game ball. And I'm still not sure if we have any for the San Francisco 49ers, who mostly laid an egg. I think they lost in all three phases of the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll get into a number of topics here on how that happened and why it happened, and maybe find some game balls to give out and find some silver linings in the 49ers' first loss of the season. And Croc, I think I want to start by how we ended the last podcast, because we were talking about keys to victory. And, you know, it's kind of cheating. Every single week you can talk about the turnovers, and you can talk about, you know, whoever wins the turnover battle is going to have a good opportunity to win a football game. And we usually don't highlight turnovers in the keys to victory, but this one we did, because where the 49ers were coming into this game as a defense, 0 interceptions, last in the league, 0 interceptions in the last, dozen games now. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars leading the league in interceptions. And that theme continued into this football game, and we saw that exact thing play out again. 4 turnovers for the San Francisco 49ers. And to be honest with you, Croc, with the way the 49ers got beat, I think defensively, offensively, and on special teams, and 4 turnovers, I honestly don't know how it was this close. How were the 49ers within 5 points when you add all that up?
Yeah, I think that lets you know that the 49ers, well, you can look at it one of two ways. One, like, man, they're actually, like, you know, a better team than what the results were, because of how poorly they played in all phases, and it was still close. Or the Jacksonville Jaguars maybe aren't a very good football team. So not sure which way to take it. It's still early in the season, and obviously there's a lot of time to figure it out. But I think in situations like this, you just have to look at the 49ers, and you have to look at the things that they need to do to get better, the things they need to do to improve. So, you know, where were they at fault? And you talked about it, man, all 3 phases. You know, I think one thing that kind of flew under the radar a little bit as it pertains to this game is just how poorly the 49ers were against the run. I think that was huge. I didn't think it was Trevor Lawrence just throwing all these passes all over the place and beating the 49ers. I don't think he had very many impactful throws at all. We just got done watching. We waited until the end of the Dallas Cowboys against the Green Bay Packers game. And you watch those quarterbacks, and the one thing I said was, man, it felt like the quarterbacks were the conductors of the game on both sides. I thought the quarterbacks, especially in the second half, played like very, very well. Well, you look at the game with the 49ers and Jacksonville Jaguars being able to pull that victory out, but at no point did I think that they won that game because of Trevor Lawrence. Or maybe you could say, well, they won because Trevor Lawrence just did not turn the ball over, but he wasn't anything spectacular. But the run game was something that kind of kept them ahead of the sticks at times. You know, Trevor Etienne broke off Travis.
Yeah, Travis.
Brother. Right, there's a brother. I think the brother might be Trevor.
There's a Trevor.
Right, but Etienne broke off a couple of nice runs and had some other ones that I felt like, hey, put them in short yardage situations, right? Maybe it wasn't the 50-yard run that he had early in the game or however long that was, but okay, I'm going to rip off an 8-yard run or a 9-yard run and kind of keep us ahead of sticks to where we don't have to put a whole lot on Trevor Lawrence. And the 49ers defense allowed that. A unit that is supposed to be strong at that, if not anything else, right? It's not like they were moving Trevor Lawrence off of his spot a whole lot or getting a bunch of sacks or anything like that. But they're supposed to be stout against the run. And I thought more times than not, they were putting the overall defense in a bad position. I think Etienne had 124 rushing yards, I believe, with a good yards per carry. So you flip it to the other side, and the 49ers, I mean, still abysmal trying to run the ball. So one team ran the ball very well, the other didn't. I think that's an underlying or underrated aspect of this game.
I'm glad you brought that up. I think you have to talk about the running game here. And really, the Jaguars used the Kyle Shanahan game script, right? Some explosives on the ground, 6.5 yards per carry for Travis Etienne, 19 carries, 124 yards, the 48-yarder, 4.7 on the ground altogether. Efficient quarterback play, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, only 174 yards on 31 attempts for Trevor Lawrence. So, that was not a high average per attempt, but the 49ers can't run the football. Christian McCaffrey, 17 carries, 49 yards, 2.9 yards per carry. He actually drops his yearly totals. And the 49ers just cannot run the football right now. And I can't really recall a time where there was this long of a stretch for a Kyle Shanahan team with one of the best running backs in the league, and they can't run the football right now. And so that's a concerning trend, I think, for this 49ers team right now, and the way Kyle Shanahan has won so many football games throughout his career. In fact, I'll go to Josh Dubow of the Associated Press. The 49ers are 31st in the NFL, averaging 3.3 yards per carry, and are our only team without a touchdown run. Last team to average 3.3 yards per carry or worse with 0 touchdowns through 4 games was the 2019 Dolphins. That was the tank for Tua Dolphins in 2019. 3.3 yards per carry, no touchdowns on the ground is not going to get it done. Now, Christian McCaffrey is still adding a lot in the passing games. The 49ers leading receiver. He was the 49ers leading receiver as well in this game with his 6 catches for 92 yards and did get in the end zone there as a receiver. But the 49ers defense had done a good job stopping the run to this point of the season, but they haven't gotten it going on the ground on offense. And then now when a team does start to get it going on the ground against the 49ers, you saw what the result was, and it was the 49ers' first loss of the season.
So a couple of things here in the comments, right? First here by Nate, and he says, CMC looks slow, honestly. When he hits the hole, no hunger for running hard anymore. And man, I don't want to say that he's not, hungry and trying to run hard, but there's a clear difference in how he's running. And again, you can attribute this to some of the injuries, or maybe it's not even like the chronic injuries, but maybe just something that's lingering with the calf that's going on right now. But I was watching him, and I actually texted in the group chat with the homies. I said, he doesn't have that next gear. Like, he's running at one speed, at one pace, and that one pace is not fast, is not explosive. And it doesn't even look like he's trying to hit certain cutbacks. Like, there were certain opportunities for cutbacks that I saw, like, where he would typically, like, just the CMC in the past, who would kind of maneuver and find that crease and hit that and spring off a big run. Like, it's just not there. He's just kind of going to where, okay, the run is supposed to go here, let me go here. And he's not hitting it hard. He's just getting there and then getting tackled. And I'm like, this doesn't look quite like CMC. And then the next thing, Anthony here says, I don't get how Robinson came in and got good yards on the ground and then never touches the ball again. And I thought Robinson, now again, I'm not saying he's just running better than CMC or anything like that right now, but it was almost like, well, the run blocking for him, I don't know what the difference is between him and CMC, or CMC's not seeing everything quite well, but it looked like he was kind of maneuvering, kind of figuring things out a little bit. So I don't know what's up with the run game. Is it the offensive line and they're just not getting a push? But I will tell you, some of the runs that were blocked up to get more than what CMC got. And I ain't saying all the time, because there's times where he's just getting stuffed. But there were enough that I saw. I think when I say just previous year CMC, I think he would have picked up more yards than what we saw in this game.
I mean, it's not crazy to say that Christian McCaffrey is probably not in his prime right now, whether it's just lingering current injuries or just
I was trying to stray away from saying that. Like, I don't want to be it right now. You already lost, and I think there's a lot of doom and gloom takes out there, and I didn't want to add to it by saying maybe CMC, maybe this is just him now.
But seeing Brian Robinson run, he had a 7-yarder, and then outside of that, he had 4 carries for 14 yards. So it's not like he's breaking off anything either. So I've got to say it's more offensive line than anything else. One thing I would like to see, though, is some of the younger, fresher legs. I would like to see Jordan James carry the football. 49ers rookie 5th-round pick. He was looking good in camp. He was potentially going to be the 49ers number 2 running back this year if he didn't break his finger during camp. Isaac Arendo's got speed. At least have try to use the dynamic ability of some of the runners on your team that might have a little bit more juice or just a little bit different look, and see if you can give hit a little something and pop something. And when you see Travis Etienne run, it's like that, he's got a lot more juice, I think, than a lot of backs in the NFL. And I think that is kind of missing on the 49ers offense. And then when you look at the passing game, you have Juwan Jennings and you have Kendrick Bourne and, Luke Farrell. It's like there's just not a lot of juice on the offense right now. They need to find they need to find speed and someone that can make a game-breaking play potentially and try to get that player in space, because I don't know if it's necessarily going to be Demarcus Robinson. Were you surprised, Croc, that Demarcus Robinson was kind of playing behind all the other wide receivers, especially Kendrick Bourne?
Yeah, I don't know because that was the guy, right? Like heading into training camp. If anybody who went to training camp, it looked like this is someone that's involved, right? Or at least he's going to be involved until Brandon Ayuk comes back, whenever that is, because right now it sounds like he's not even close. All right, but it's like, hey, this guy is going to be involved in what we're trying to do. And you knew he was going to be out, and there was the injury with Juwan Jennings. I was like, hey, we got to go get Kendrick Bourne. I thought Kendrick Bourne came in because of some of the situations. But, okay, once you get some of these guys back, well, Kendrick Bourne is going to take a back seat to these guys. And that ain't what happened. So I would only assume that, one, Kendrick Bourne has to make it past Tuesday, right? He has to make it to Wednesday with the 49ers, and he's probably praying right now he doesn't get cut. But two, as they're able to incorporate Robinson more with what they're doing right now, he'll be in there a lot more, if I had to guess.
More of the 49ers passing game. We talked about the running game that is not good enough right now. Let's talk passing game. Brock Purdy's return, and weird scene on the field post-game with Robert Saleh and Jaguars head coach Liam Coen coming up next. This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by PrizePicks. Every day we make decisions, but on PrizePicks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this football season with PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. Playing PrizePicks is so much fun. Simple ways to add more excitement to your football weekend. You just pick more or less. It's super simple. All you do is you pick more or less on player projections like Josh Allen's passing yards or Saquon Barkley rushing for a touchdown, and you are in the game. And the new injury reboot feature, if your player leaves early, doesn't return, it won't count against you. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla riding a T-Rex? Confidence, pure confidence. So if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Go Long. Rugiet Go Long isn't just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for confidence. The process is simple. All you do is you connect with a board-certified doctor, 100% online, and if prescribed, your treatment ships directly to your door discreetly, and if prescribed, your treatment ships right when you need it. And speaking of right when you need it, the effects can last up to 36 hours with Rugiet Go Long. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the next day. So ready to level up your confidence? Head to Rugiet.com. That's RUGIET.com and use our promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your first order. That's Rugiet.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Make sure you use our code so they know we sent you. So talking about the passing game, obviously not an ideal situation, even though Brock Purdy did throw for 300 yards in this game. I saw a stat, and I wish I could attribute it because I don't remember who put it out there, but this is the 11th 300-yard passing game in Brock Purdy's career, but the lowest quarterback rating of those 300-yard passing games. So he was 22 of 38, 309 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and then 2 interceptions was the big one. The reason I would start to point a little bit to some other factors and not just, and I think the reactionary take is, if Mac Jones played, he might have won the game. And Mac Jones is just as good as Brock Purdy. How did Brock Purdy get a $256 million contract and $53 million for you, right? That's reactionary. I don't know if Brock Purdy is 100%. He was moving around okay. I do think there were some plays that 100% Brock Purdy might have taken off and not spend as much time in the pocket. You can't really blame Brock Purdy too much for trying to step up in the pocket, and Eric Armstead gets to the quarterback and knocks the ball out. It's unfortunate. He definitely would have wanted some of those throws back. But man, some really killer drops in this game. I don't think the offensive line played great. I think there was, enough pressure that you could point to that being not great for Brock Purdy and the 49ers. Maybe forcing some throws. It was just kind of a little bit of everything. I think with the running game, why is it not working? It's kind of a little bit of everything we touched on. Why was the passing game not good in this game? Well, a little bit of everything. Ricky Pearsall hurts his knee. You got a short week Thursday night. Is he going to be able to play against the Rams? It's kind of an old, slow group of wide receivers right now for the 49ers. So that is obviously less than ideal. You lose your best wide receiver in this game with Pearsall getting nicked up potentially. And then we talked about the struggles in the passing game. So that's a lot to deal with for Brock Purdy. And it's not so much making excuses for Brock Purdy, but a less than 100% Brock Purdy with everything else going on. It just not ideal, Croc, as you like to say.
I think if Brock Purdy, if he's not 100% and he's struggling to push off to make some of those throws, and it is something that in time would get better, then I think he's better suited to maybe not play right now. Like if it's going to hurt him to that extent, because there were a lot of throws that he sailed or that were really high, like that first interception that went off of Christian McCaffrey's hand. But it was high. You're throwing. You can't throw high and in traffic to guys. He did that with Robinson late in the game, and he skied up and made the play. But there was another one that he did later where he threw it really high over the middle late. Like you can't do that. And if it's because of your toe and you're not able to drive the ball on some of these throws, then maybe you are better suited to kind of, hey, let's wait this out and see if it kind of gets better over the next couple of weeks. As it pertains to Mac Jones, and people may be saying that, the 49ers would have won with Mac Jones. One, as option 0 on the chat says, Mac is hurt. So
he's hurt as well. Worse than Brock Purdy. So
right. So and maybe that's the reason why Brock had to be rushed out there. So there could be that. But also, hypothetically speaking, Mac Jones isn't hurt. It's 100% healthy Mac, or as healthy as you could be heading into a game. Would he have been able to move well enough to elude some of the pressures that were coming from Jacksonville and was forcing some of the errant throws or the fumble at the end of the game? So I'm not going to be one to just say, they would have won with Mac Jones. But I would say that Brock, just in general, decision-making has to be better. Keeping the ball out of harm's way has to be better. And that was something I talked about from the Seattle Seahawks game. Like I thought he threw some poor passes. I thought he got away with one with essentially what ended up being a game-winning touchdown pass. It looked like he threw it right to Tariq Woolen, and Tunges reached out in front of him and kind of saved the situation. There's something going on with Brock's decision-making from that standpoint. So again, I know there are a lot of people want to focus on this game and some of the poor passes, but this is becoming a trend, especially in some clutch situations. Now, we have seen him come through in a couple of situations. The Detroit Lions game last year in the postseason comes to mind, right? The Green Bay Packers game down the stretch, like that comes to mind. But those are kind of like some one-off situations with as many times as he's been in games where, hey, I can either, keep us in this game or I can put us ahead And it seems like more times than not, somebody could pull up the stats on what his numbers are and what the turnovers are in those situations, but it is not good. There are a lot of thrown interceptions in those situations. So I think Brock just has to get better, and it may be a little difficult when, hey, I'm banged up. O-line isn't quite as good right now. There is no George Kittle out there. Pearsall was a guy who I was counting on to be out there, and he tapped out, and now he's not in the game right now. And I threw a hospital ball to Juwan Jennings, and now he's banged up. I may have got his rib broken. I mean, there's a lot going on that is attributing to some of the issues with the passing game. But we still need Brock to be better in that situation. That's why you make the big bucks.
Right. That's why you make the big bucks. And even if the situation's not perfect around you, you got to protect the football. And that is on Brock to do that. Real quick, I want to go to Trent Williams post game, who was asked about that very thing and how he thought Brock played. And basically he said, quote, "We got to protect him better. It's not on him. He threw an interception. Both of the passes got tipped. He's probably not personally frustrated. He shouldn't be anyway." And obviously they're frustrated. And I think Trent Williams, by the way, Trent Williams did throw a guy out of the club and then spend a little extra time on the sideline with the Jacksonville Jaguars players. There was a lot of chippiness in this game, Croc, arguing with players on the field, and obviously something with the coaches as well that I think we have to address next. And I think we have a little bit more information now than we did right when the game ended about what exactly was said between Liam Coen, head coach of the Jaguars, clearly took exception to something Robert Saleh said during the week. And to be honest with you, something that I think makes him look quite weak, I think is the way I would put it. I'll put it out there with the specifics about what was said on the field, and then and we'll talk through it and see where we think the Niners and the Jaguars are right now with their coaches feuding on the field post game, and maybe we'll see if we can give out some game balls as well next. This episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2 shot packs a caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee plus B vitamins and nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. And the best part about 5 Hour Energy, in my opinion, is how portable they are. Big taste, tiny shot. You can take it anywhere and get a boost when you need it. Put one in your golf bag for the back nine, in your desk at work. You can have them at home. You can have them you can have them anywhere you need them, and stick them in your pocket, on the go, in your glove box, in the car, and you can get that shot of energy without the crash whenever you need it. So enough of the boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love, or be bold and try something new in store and online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. This episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. NFL season is rolling, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss right now. New customers, and I don't know how long this offer is going to last, but it's the most dollars in bonus bets I've seen FanDuel give away in the many years that they have been a sponsor of this podcast. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. There's weekly lines already up through week 18 of the season. Tons of prop bets, tons of ways to play on FanDuel. However you like to play, build your own parlays, and even jump in live in-game betting as well. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. That is FanDuel.com.
And Peacock, real quick, can I touch on the interceptions real quick because he talked about the tips, right?
Yeah.
On both of those, I still felt like, well, one was, it was unfortunate. It got tipped, and then the linebacker picked it off. Mm-hmm. And then the first one, right, it was a tipped interception. The one that CMC, again, that was high. Like, it was a high throw, and CMC is trying to do everything that he can to catch the ball. It's off of a hand, and he tries to corral it, ends up getting picked. But it started with it being an inaccurate high throw.
Right.
The
It wasn't like
second one,
the lineman just tipped it in Brock Purdy's face. It was a high throw, which caused it to be, in peril from the start.
now maybe that's because, well, I'm not tall. It's a little hard to see over the line, so I'm trying to get it over guys, and that could be an attributed factor as well. Now the second interception. So I was watching there was a game on at like 6 a.m. this morning. It was whoever Carson Wentz plays for and versus Pittsburgh Steelers, Vikings versus Steelers. And Carson Wentz throws his interception. And at the time, I think he was like 9 for 9. And he throws an interception. People, same old Carson Wentz. Knew he would do it. Now, he did throw a bad one later. But he throws his ball. And a big guy gets his paw up. Boom. And then it kind of glances off that hand. And it gets intercepted. And I'm like, it got tipped, intercepted. Okay. When Brock Purdy threw that ball, and I'm looking at the linebacker was going to pick it off for guard. He was heading in that direction. There's a big difference between throwing like a layer throw if a guy is stationary and you're throwing over him, or if a guy is stationary and you're throwing into a voided area. That's different than you're throwing the ball to a spot, but the guy is going in that direction. So the direction he was throwing in and the backer was going, it would have got picked regardless. Now, it made it easier that the ball got tipped and he was able to kind of get there, stop, kind of hop up, catch it with his body. It was an easier one, but I thought he would, not to say it would have got picked, it would have had an opportunity to get picked regardless. So those are, again, it goes back to the decision-making and figuring out how to keep the ball out of harm's way. And that's just something that Brock has to improve on. He's still early in his career, but I just saw a stat and I saw it floating around as well. Brock Purdy in his last 19 games has thrown 20 interceptions. Here we go. That's not good. That's not good. So just something that has to be improved on.
Yeah, you got to take care of the football. And the last thing, game-wise, the 49ers are going to miss Nick Bosa, man. We talked about, could this injury really be the straw that breaks the camel's back? They got zero pressure in this game. And I don't know if it's just because Nick Bosa wasn't out there. We saw them able to get some pressure in the last game without Nick Bosa on the field after he left the game. But you put all these things together, and that's why I start talking about. I was like, man, okay, you got zero pressure with your pass rush. You couldn't run the football. You weren't good stopping the run. You turned the ball over 4 times. How was this game even 26-21? How are the 49ers even in this football game with a chance to be within 1 score at the end? And we've seen what teams look like that don't have a pass rush in the 2018 49ers before they brought in D Ford, before they drafted Nick Bosa. That defense was non-functional because they had zero pass rush and they had zero. Trevor Lawrence, it was too easy for him out there, and he didn't even do that much as the quarterback. We talked about his stat line. You got to put pressure on the opposing team's quarterback, and the 49ers did not at all in this game. And if that's the way it's going to be all year for the 49ers, that's going to be a big problem without Nick Bosa.
Yeah, they're going to need him. And I've seen all week trade Henderson. And there were some people that are like, oh, do you trade the backup quarterback for him? I'm like, I would, because he's a backup quarterback. I remember the conversation some years back with Nick Mullins, and people were like, Nick Mullins stepped in for Jimmy G, and people were like, oh, would you trade Nick Mullins? People were like, no way I wouldn't trade Nick Mullins. I would trade Mac Jones in a heartbeat if it meant that the 49ers defense has a difference maker and a playmaker coming off the edge. And every time I've watched Trey Henderson, like, he's been good. Like, I feel like he's at like 100% success rate with me watching him and him making an impactful play every time. So, yeah, I think it's something that you have to do. I don't know if the 49ers can do it. I don't know if it makes sense for the 49ers to do it. I don't know if financially it makes sense for Henderson, but that is a guy, if you can, you make the call, because there is a lack of pass rush right now for the 49ers.
In my opinion, Croc, what happened on the field post-game was a chump move by Liam Coen, just to put it out there and put it simply. And now we've seen some better video of it, of what happened post-game. Robert Saleh goes to try to congratulate Liam Coen, dap him up. Coen walks right by him and then keeps walking until he's a safe distance away, and then starts talking trash to Robert Saleh, who at that point is already hugging other players. And he said, keep my name out of your mouth, to Robert Saleh. And now we have more information on this, Croc, what's because the video is kind of muted. You can't really hear what they're exactly saying. So this is what, I don't know if you've seen this yet, Croc. So Liam Coen says, keep my name out of your bleeping mouth. And Robert Saleh's response to that is, quote, I will bleep up your world. You don't want to bleep with me. I will bleep and end your bleeping life. And that's what was said as Robert Saleh is walking toward Liam Coen. Liam Coen's walking away from Robert Saleh, a safe distance with large human beings in between them, which first of all, Croc, what is Liam Coen even mad about? Because Robert Saleh gave him a compliment during the week, in my opinion.
So I didn't hear how it was stated from him. I think I just read it. And what I read was they are legally stealing signs. And that's all I know.
Yeah. Basically, they're doing their homework and figuring out what they're calling by stealing the signs, which is what any good coach should do. I didn't think a lot of people were asking him about it and making it a story during the week. And I never thought it was a story because it's just like saying, oh, they're really good running play action. They're good at doing a thing that happens in football. This isn't like the Houston Astros banging trash cans. He said it was not illegal. Said they're good at figuring out the signs. And that's what you should be doing if you're a coach. There was nothing bad about it. He complimented Liam Coen. And somehow Liam Coen took it as it was some big slight to him. And then was too cowardly to actually talk to Robert Saleh about it himself face to face. He had to scurry away before he started talking smack to Robert Saleh. And I think we all know why that is the case. So, yeah, I think it was really lame on Liam Coen's part. At first, I was like, I saw the reports like, was Robert Saleh going after him and mad? And that's not a good look for Saleh if that's the case. And that is not what happened. So, grow up, Liam Coen. Get some thicker skin. Game balls, Croc. I got 2 game balls, and neither one of them is a San Francisco 49er. One is an ex-49er, Eric Armstead, who made the big play, the big knockout blow at the end of that game, getting his hands on the football, causing the fumble from his former teammate in Brock Purdy. And the other one is Devin Lloyd, who was the best player on the football field. He was picking balls off. He was making tackles behind the line of scrimmage. He was flying around the field, he was doing everything. I'm trying to figure out how good the Jaguars are, Croc. Is this one of the best teams the 49ers have faced this year? Because they're the only team to beat the 49ers this year.
Well, I would say no. When the 49ers shoot themselves in the foot as many times they did, and still the Jaguars barely win the game. When they're spotting you points, when they're giving up a punt return to the house, when they're turning the ball over 4 times, and you still kind of squeak out with a win, how good are you really? And that's what we started off kind of saying that. Like I don't. Were the 49ers just really bad or the Jaguars really good? And I think the 49ers were bad, and I think the Jaguars aren't that great of a team because, again, they just kind of squeaked away with this. Now, there could be a team that's still learning how to win. The Jaguars have not won a lot of games with Trevor Lawrence under center. So maybe they need games like this to kind of help build that confidence. And, I've been on some losing teams. The preparation isn't quite the same, but you start winning and you prepare better. Each and every week to get a little bit better, a little bit more, dialed in on the details of everything. And maybe that's what we're seeing. And maybe just this is the start of that. Maybe after the next kind of quarter of the season, you see even a better version of Jacksonville. But I didn't walk away from this game thinking, oh, Jacksonville's so good. I think they had a couple of explosive plays, and the 49ers shot themselves in the foot time and time again.
And it's a good point in the Fred Warner is obviously awesome and is game ball worthy player every single week. But that was kind of the difference in this one is Devin Lloyd corralled those interceptions. Fred Warner couldn't quite grab potentially 2 interceptions himself, which is unfortunate. The 49ers cannot take the ball away and can't intercept the football all of a sudden, or not really all of a sudden. It's dating back into last year now. And even when they did, it got called back. I got to ask you this before we go, Croc. What do you think about the penalty called on Upton Stout before his pick?
I think that I saw the uproar on social media. That is not a flag. I think he left it open for them to call it. There was a tug. Now, did I think it was like one of the worst PIs I've ever? It wasn't like a bad PI, but there was a little tug. And you do that, you kind of leave it open for the ref to make a judgment call. And the judgment call that he decided was that it was a pass interference. So I don't not agree, right? I mean, I don't disagree with the call. If I felt like it could have went either way. But I definitely saw that a lot of 49 fans were very upset.
From the front, it's like it just looks like a clean, perfect, amazing play. And then
it was a slight tug.
Yeah, you see it in the back, and then you see that little hand, and you see the slingshot, as Mark Sanchez called it on the broadcast. And it's like, yeah, I can see why they would call it. And it might have been, if the guy I didn't see which ref threw the flag, but the ref that threw the flag was the one that was behind the play, and you could see it from that angle. It probably looked pretty easy to call from his vantage point.
Yeah,
unfortunate. A lot of unfortunate.
I do like him though. I would say that rookie, he's playing some damn good ball, man. I watched him be super physical against the run, and he's scrappy against the pass. I am impressed with how he has played to this point early in his career. He looks like a guy that he's going to be playing nickel at a high level in the next coming years.
More on this game and the San Francisco 49ers on a short week, getting ready for the Los Angeles Rams coming up on Thursday Night Football. I want to hear who you would give a game ball to. Let us know at BD Peacock, at Coach Crocky in the YouTube comments. Subscribe while you're there. And Croc and I back tomorrow right here. Locked On 49ers.